Hi, everyone. We're back with another episode of the UNIGNORABLE podcast, and this one is a little bit different. It's a town hall. We've invited about 5 agencies to come and talk to us about COVID-19. Everybody knows about COVID-19. It's what's made everything upside down since the beginning of the year and mostly since March for here. And we would like to talk to some people from the agencies just to know how COVID has affected them and let them tell you so that you can have a better understanding of what the people on the front lines are facing. So today we're going to be talking with Christine Stewart. She is the Executive Director of Canadian Mental Health Association, Central Alberta. We have Stacey Carmichael. She's the Executive Director of the Turning Point Society in Red Deer for Central Alberta. We have Kath Hoffman, the Executive Director of Safe Harbor Society, and we have Crystal Zenz, is the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters Lacombe as well. And we're hoping that later in the show, Barb Barber from the Outreach Center can join us as well. She's the Executive Director there. I'd like to introduce to you Edie Hiebert. She is the chairperson of our 2020 United Way campaign. She's our volunteer extraordinaire. She's on our Community Impact Council. She's on our campaign cabinet, and she has volunteered in so many ways that you don't even hear about, and we're so lucky to have her. Edie is going to be leading the conversation because that is one of her mad skills. Welcome, Edie.
Opportunity to say thank you so much, Christine, to all you ladies for joining us today. About a month or 6 weeks ago, I was meeting with Brett, and I said to him, I hear from a lot of different people what's going on. I said, I would love nothing better than to hear directly from some of our executive directors at our not-for-profits here in Central Alberta. I said, it's different than reading something, than going on the website or Facebook or any of that. I genuinely care, and I'd love to hear from everybody directly. So he promptly got me some help, and that's Christine. So thank you, Christine, for helping me out with this. And she will also edit it afterwards. So again, I want to say thank you, and a special thank you to all you ladies. And I think, so having said all of that, where I'd like to start, as I said, I genuinely care, we genuinely care, and would really like to hear, how are you doing personally? And how is your staff doing? And so from there too, and how COVID has really impacted the agency. So there's kind of 3 things there. How are you doing yourself? How's your staff doing? And what are some of the biggest impacts COVID's had? So in the interest of time, because she had indicated she may need to slip out early, would be Christine Stewart. Do you want to start? And then we'll just go around and let each of you ladies answer.
That's a tough one. I think me personally and my staff team are probably around the same place, but I think it's hard because, you're trying to figure out the processes for staff, all of whom have different beliefs around this whole pandemic and preferences and their own, whether health worries or, some people think this is ridiculous, and you're trying to balance all of those beliefs while ensuring that everyone feels safe and that their rights are upheld. So it's a balancing act for sure. And then, you go home, you've got the same thing at home. You've got loved ones you worry about. You've got people you need to see and look after. You've got, maybe different opinions in your own household. And, I personally have twin 11-year-olds and a stepson who's 16, and trying to balance the school thing and figuring out who needs to be where. It's just, it can be overwhelming. And then as a mental health agency, trying to make sure that we're able to provide mental health supports for the community when many of our staff are feeling equally exhausted. It's rough. So, I mean, we did close the doors to our public this year, which was a hard decision. There are many people who are not receiving some of the social supports we normally provide. But at the same time, when your staff team is tapped out on their own end of things, and you want to make sure that you keep everyone as mentally healthy as you can, that was a decision we had to make as well. So I think here at CMHA, I mean, people are so resilient, and they've really pulled together because they definitely want what's best for anyone we serve. And I know that, you know, some of our team has lost sleep at night trying to figure out how to provide services for people every time the rules change and reconfigure how we do things. But we're managing and we're serving people, and we will get through this as a community.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Who would like to go next?
I guess I can.
Okay, thank you.
So our board of directors took really swift action when COVID came into play, and we made some strategic cuts immediately, and shortened our staff and group programs and that sort of thing, which helped us in the longevity of the long haul, I guess, of surviving financially. But of course, more kids are in need and more referrals have been made. And we have also had a steady intake of volunteers as well to meet those demands, which is really good. People just looking to fill the void and give back, and if they have more time because they're working less, just even to keep themselves mentally healthy and that sort of thing. But as Christine addressed, it's very confusing every time there's new guidelines, and every province is different. So even though we're a national body, our staff has to reconfigure everything out, not only provincially, but for our zones, what color our zone is and everything like that. So it is a lot of work, because every time we change our program or amend our program, our staff have to do more paperwork and more communications with all parties. And so that's a lot of extra work just in its own self. So we have less staff doing more work, and I have very strong staff here supporting myself, but it's just managing that we can work relentlessly and we can work extremely hard, but for how long can we keep this pace to serve the kids that are in the most need? And so even for myself, like, I could probably do this for like 6 to 9, 10 more months without extra supports, because I went from being an ED to now like a caseworker, fundraiser, and all those other kind of helping do everything. So definitely provincially, our Big Brothers directors got together yesterday, and there is a real sense of burnout in the staff. And of course, everything has to juggle. If one staff has a staff, or one director has a staff in isolation, and then that's kind of a domino effect, because the 14-day stints are pretty long, and then someone else is carrying that load if they can't work from home. But anyways, but we are financially coping. I think we're just working extremely hard. My theme is relentless. That's my new word. And just seeing how long we can work at this pace for.
Okay, thanks, Crystal, for sharing that. And yeah, I just appreciate hearing that.
Personally, I have made out okay. There have been times I wasn't really sure how things were going to go, but we're managing okay. I have 3 young men or teenagers boys that I am isolated with or living with, and so I'm a little disappointed in my cohort team, so to speak, because they don't like to talk to me very much. I'd have to say nimble has never been a word I would have used to describe myself, but I feel rather nimble lately, and you know, the ability to turn on a dime and respond to things as they come. Because as everyone's alluded to, the changing guidelines every day, and other people's lives, you know, kids missing school and and managing all that stuff while trying to manage it. You know, an organization that operates 24/7 has been tricky. I'm really lucky. We have fabulous staff and community partners, and that's been great. I think a big issue is I would call the PPE fatigue and keeping up to date on how to keep our frontline workers safe and managing potential risks there. And
Yeah.
because that changes every day. Now they have to wear goggles, not just some of the time, but all of the time. And then just keeping up those stocks of stuff. And we have to keep in mind, lots of us are working within 2 pandemics. So there's the COVID pandemic or what have you, and the overdose epidemic, or, you know, which is very real and tricky for us to work with. So I think for the most part, I am super happy to be a part of this team, and the people that we work with are fabulous and we're doing okay, but we're getting tired, I think, of not being able to see one another. We do, we lean on one another a lot. And so even little things like not being able to have lunch together and those types of things are having an impact. And I don't know what the solution is to make people feel connected and welcomed in this environment, but we're trying. We're doing okay.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Thank you. Appreciate hearing those words directly from you. Okay, Barb, Kath, either one?
I'll jump in.
Barb.
We'll
Thanks,
save
Barb.
the best to last.
Oh,
Yeah.
How are we doing ourselves? Well, I'll tell you, I miss having breakfast with Hoffman.
Me too.
And I think, you know, the one thing, actually, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm just starting my 23rd year at the outreach, and the one thing that I'm always so proud of Red Deer is just the way that we collaborate and work together with each other agencies. And I'm going to speak, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, but because we can't have in-person meetings and everybody is just really focused on keeping their own agency safe, I've really missed that camaraderie that we've had with other agencies. But I think I'm Zoom fatigued. Last thing I want to do when I go home is watch TV, because I've been watching TV all day. So I'm very fortunate. My husband's position within Alberta Health Services and emergency management, I have somebody to kind of help guide the process for the outreach. We have officially changed our name to the Outreach Center. And so not only the pandemic, but we did an amalgamation during the pandemic. So that was fun. And so suicide information and women's outreach have amalgamated to be the Outreach Center. I think for the most part, I'm doing okay. I can't see my grandbabies, so that is painful. Yeah. But in regards to the staff, you know, I think the one thing that we find with people in the nonprofit is we have a wicked sense of humor. And so, you know, the staff have been really good just in regards to, you know, the restrictions and the protocols that we've had to put in place. And I mean, what everybody else has said so far is absolutely what we're experiencing as well. And we have some people working from home, some people working in the office. Our staff at Juletta's place are, you know, they're running through their schedule. And so just trying to keep up. I think one of the things that we're seeing now, really in relation to the domestic violence issues in our community, is that we're starting to see the increases happen. And because it was at the very beginning, it just went radio silent and was very, very quiet. And so that was very concerning and scary, because we knew COVID didn't solve domestic violence. And so we're starting to see an increase in that, and an increase in need for services. So we're doing as best as we can, and experiencing all the crunches that everybody else has. And in regards to, you can't fundraise, and all events have been canceled, and that kind of stuff. So just trying to engage the community as best as we can. And we're just plugging away, and but just as everybody else, everybody's getting tired, and Christmas is going to be different, than what it has last year. So my family has officially moved Christmas to July. So
I love it.
So we're going to go camping, and if we still have to, social distance, everybody's trailer will be in the corners. So that's kind of what's shaken at the outreach. And right now we're doing Adopt a Family. And what we have noticed is that people that used to be able to support families for Adopt a Family are now families that need help. So that's what we're seeing as well.
Thank you so much, Barb, for sharing. I appreciate what you've said, and I'll wrap up with some general comments. Captain Hoffman.
Yes,
The
Hoffman
harbor
here. Hoffman, Safe Harbor and the happenings at the harbor. We can reiterate everything everybody has said so far. Of course, we've had staffing challenges. We were fortunate at the beginning of the COVID in March to get out of the ATCO trailers we were in our parking lot for the last 6 years, and moving across the street into Cannery Row with our shelter services, which allowed for all the distancing that was required. And that happened in 1 day.
Wow.
1 day. And it was, yeah, I was in quarantine because I had to come back from Mexico after only 4 days out of 3 weeks. And all my team had to do all the hard work moving over into the new building. But it was a great relief to my staff, of course, to have that. The bigger space presents a lot of challenges, but very grateful for it. I've noticed, for me, I can echo what Stace said, especially at the earlier in the year when COVID hit. We were dealing more with overdose and crystal meth use and all of its associated behaviors. That was bigger for us at that point in time than COVID, and always still is. I was trying to think of what I could add to these pieces that these women have already put in this puzzle. And what I was going to say, first of all, is we are tired. We are really tired. My leadership team is tired. Everybody's tired. And if I could wish for something for Christmas for the crew at the harbor and everybody else in the community that's doing this work, it would be to have that opportunity to exhale a little longer than 5 minutes, and also I was thinking that, we had a big shout out through the COVID to all the healthcare workers, and everybody always says thank you to our healthcare workers, right? And I was encouraged to see that the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness sent out a video thanking the frontline people. I tell my crew all the time how important they are, but lots of times they hear through, and I know Stace's team, same thing. They hear rotten stuff it coming out about our services and blah, blah, you know, they get hit by that kind of thing by the community all the time. And that's heavy and makes you kind of want to say, what the hell then, you know, why are we doing this? And now when you've got the added component of the extra risks they take there with COVID, I would say what Safe Harbor needs, and I think I speak for everybody, is some love. We need some love. My team needs to hear some local love, local leadership love. You know, that's, I think often what would happen if Safe Harbor and Turning Point were here doing these services that people don't like the look of or taste of, right? What would happen? And we know full well what would happen and how much crazier things would be. But my team, you know, our teams are putting themselves out there, not just the risk of COVID or the risk, but they're at the risk of the community angst, you know, getting piled up on them. They don't need that. I wish I could fight that somehow, but I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling. I'm tired. I am tired.
I can imagine. And you know, the things that you ladies have touched on, first of all, thank you. And Christine, you might have to edit out my emotions. And this is exactly why I wanted to do this, is to hear directly. I can hear it in your voices. I can see it in your eyes, albeit we're on TV, as Barb said, that the water line is here. And that's exhausting after a while. And it saddens me to hear, because I realize too, you don't hear a lot about all the not-for-profits and the social agencies and the frontline work that they do, which is as important as whether it's medical professionals, EMS, or whomever. They're all important, but no more than what you folks are. And so I just want to thank you so much for sharing your hearts with us. And I think, Kath, you kind of touched on this. If I could have one thing, it would be some local love. That for me is a good segue into the last question that I wanted to hear from you ladies about. What would help at this point in time?
As simple as sending a Christmas card to the staff at the organizations, you know, something that the staff see that's coming from somewhere other than us, and that people do value and appreciate the work they're doing. Or, you know, just a whole bunch of money too would be, that's great.
We really love the cupcakes, for example, that Nova brings us. That's local love for sure. We really appreciate that. And I ask the staff all the time, like, I can see that you're crashing. I know that things are hard. I understand that, you know, not only are we managing COVID, but like I said, we're dealing with some pretty complex folks who have been significantly impacted by COVID, and there's literally sometimes nothing we can do.
Yeah.
So that trauma of, I don't know, we call a variety of different things: systems trauma, vicarious trauma, empathy trauma, just, I don't know. To be able to help people more would be awesome. So those things like care packages that so many folks are gathering are definitely appreciated. But from my perspective, I think cupcakes are pretty awesome.
For us here in Lacombe, it's not all doom and gloom. I think there's been a significant increase in need of families that have never, for example, needed to be adopted at Christmas. We usually adopt out about 30 families We had 60 applications or 61 applications this year, but we also had over 65 donors apply to adopt those families. So we had more donors than we did families in need. So the increase of people's sensitivity to what maybe charities are going through is being acknowledged for sure, I think, in our community. And people are giving where they can and how they can. We've had lots of people know that we're understaffed and come to us and say, we can do anything, like we can clean, we can, if we need to, you know, create craft packages for our kids or care packages, we'll come do that. Like, just give us jobs, because we know you guys have a lot on your shoulders. And so that has been really loving to see and wonderful to see. But I think we need to be advocates for ourselves too. And so expressing that and being okay about not being 100% and just letting the community know that, you know, we're hurting or we're, you know, low in staff. I think we're always used, and especially in Alberta charities, we're used to having to raise the bar and be phenomenal all the time and meet everybody's need all the time. And I think it's okay to be honest that we're scared about 2021, we're scared about 2022, that there probably won't be COVID money, and just preparing for those things and just being honest with our community, because I think instead of feeling worried that they'll judge us, and I'm not just speaking to this platform, but all agencies that we partner with, the more honest we are, the more people will be sensitive to our needs. And so that's been hard for me, because I'm a very competitive person and always want to work our hardest to bring the best quality of everything we do to everyone in need. But I think we have to be realistic that we can't be that for everybody right now, because we're put in a very fragile position. I think I've worked in charities for 23 years, and I thought I've seen it all, you know, recessions and other giant competing charities move into the town, and then we have fundraisers on the same days. Like, the things always affect us, right? But nothing quite significant like this, because COVID puts everybody on the same playing field in a way that it's health, and without our health, we're nothing, right? So it just brings a whole nother level of worries for us. And I don't know about you guys, but our staff is very underpaid for the education that we expect them to have. That's mandatory from our national body. And they're always people that work as social workers or in this industry of charity, because they have so much love to give, and they sometimes don't put themselves first, right? That's just kind of, self-care is usually we're not good at, because we're caring for others. So just balancing all of that, I think that's also just a ramble. I think we're just having rambling sessions. Thank you for
Not at all.
listening.
No, not at all. Thanks, Crystal. Barb, can I come back to you?
Sure. You know, much of what has been said already is kind of where I would go as well. I think, you know, speaking from my staff, and even you know, even Stacy and Cass and Crystal and Christine's staff, they hear some horrible things in the day, and they take on people's stories and experiences, and they're so busy trying to take care of others that plus with COVID, then having to go home and take care of their family, and when they crawl into bed at night, then that's what's left for them. And so you know, if I had to ask for something from the community, it would just be your kindness and your compassion, and and just your thoughts. And like Stacy said, cupcakes go a long way, but or cheesecake. But it's just really understanding that it goes farther into people's lives than just helping them with their basic needs. It's those stories that you hear, and especially when I look at what's coming forward in regards to the domestic violence side of things. There's more severe and more violent episodes out there, and that scares me for our community. But I think too, while we're all focused on, keeping ourselves safe, keeping our families safe, following our recommendations and following the law, but never forget to look up, and all you have to do is ask somebody. You don't have to know who they are, but ask them, are you okay? How are you doing? And I think we just need to care for each other and look beyond ourselves. And we don't, I think it was Crystal was saying, we don't have to be perfect. Because we're all perfectly imperfect, but just ask your neighbor, how are you doing? Ask your, even people that you might see at a social distance, of course, but just let's ask each other in our community, how are you doing? And is there anything you need help with?
Wonderful. And I'm humbled by you ladies, and thank you seems kind of frivolous for something like this. But this is exactly why I wanted to do it, because I do care, and I wanted to hear directly from you. And I'm impressed at what I see as resilience to keep going. And I'm impressed with when it came to what's important and what would help. It's still about each other, care for each other, look at each other. And because I agree with that, it's good whether you're at a store paying for your groceries to look at that cashier and say, how are you doing these days? Are you okay? And wait for a response and look at them when you ask them. And the population at large could learn a lot from each and every one of you in that area. But I just thank you so much for today. I'm not going to apologize for my emotions. I'm not always good at hiding them.
That's the love we want.
Don't get me started. Oh, because you've seen me this way. Yeah. It doesn't just sadden me, it angers me that that's not there in abundance for you. And I know it's not. And just wondering, does anybody have anything else they want to say in closing before I hand it back over to our editor, who will do a remarkable job, I know.
I always have something to say. First of all, I'd
good.
like to say, because of our staffing issues, I've had to work on the front line a little bit lately, and it's freaking exhausting.
I can't even Stace.
Holy smokes. Like, that just gave me a whole other appreciation. I mean, I came from the front line. I know what it's like, but holy, it's been exhausting. And the other day on Giving Tuesday, we partnered with some groups in the community, and an envelope of cards for our clients came in from grade 5 students.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That would be awesome.
Well, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So they're incredible. And that wasn't meant for the staff, but it made it, like, they read through those cards and it was profound. those little kids.
Oh,
They wrote poems and they drew pictures and they made jokes and they said, you know, roses are red, violets are blue. I hope you know you matter too, those types of things. And it was just unbelievable. So kind notes, positive, you know, I can't tell you how much hearing something or reading something on social media that says, you know what, these guys are working hard. That has a ripple effect for sure in the staffing. But those notes for the clients made a difference for the staff as well. Big difference, actually. They teared up.
Wow.
You would have been a blubbering mess, Edie.
I would have, for sure. Oh, that's amazing. What school? Do you know?
I want to say St. Joseph's.
Oh, okay. I was curious. Yeah, that's incredible.
They're very incredible. I think our guy, Mitch, maybe took some pictures. They're profoundly meaningful, actually.
If there's anything positive that we can say about COVID, it's that when people have to wear their masks, the only thing that you see is their eyes.
Or their eyes. Yeah. Good point.
Yes.
And you're forced to look in people's eyes. And I think we've really, we've lost that over the years. And I think that because that's the only thing that you can see, you're forced to look into people's eyes again.
Last thing I'd like to say is just about thanking you for being interested and checking in and taking the time, both of you chicks, to find out what's happening with us. And that in itself is rather extraordinary. And yeah, I appreciate that. And just another little quick story about kids and the effect they have. I had a grizzled, tired old guy at a school with me years ago that came to talk to the little kids about being homeless, saying he was like 55, this guy, long hair, tired, right? But he was really excited to come talk to these kids. The very first question a little girl from grade 1 asked him was, "Where's your mom?" Like, how could he be homeless if you had a mom, right? So she's like, "Where's your mom?"
That's amazing. Yeah, if you got a mom, everything's okay.
Yeah.
We know it's not always that way, for sure. Where's your mom? Can I ask how he answered it?
He said, "Oh, yeah, he did great. He didn't, he said, oh, she lives at Saskatoon or whatever, right?"
Okay.
Yeah, he was fine. But I just thought, yeah, for sure. Anybody in grade 1 is going to say, how could this be possible if you had a mom? Like, where's your mom?
Exactly.
Go
Yeah.
get her. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks, Kath. Anything, Crystal, that you wanted to finish with?
I just want to thank all the other leaders for pouring their hearts out and being honest and open, and makes me not feel so alone. So this was really healing too.
Oh, good.
And thanks to Christine for arranging it, for sure. And United Way has been probably our strongest rock through this all. And even just in the way of mentorship and guidance and funding and checking on us agencies. So where lots of funders just shut off funding immediately that was promised. So very grateful for United Way and for all their members, and to you ladies today too. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. And I'll hand it back over to Christine.
Well, thanks, Edie. Yeah, I get to go over here, and because I wasn't saying anything, you guys didn't see me tearing up here, so I got to hide it. But I am really grateful that you ladies came to talk today, and now you found out why we call Edie a special volunteer. She truly cares. If anybody's watching this and needs help from any of these particular agencies, you can contact the agency directly. You can contact us, and we would be happy to put you in touch. You could call 211, and they could also point you in the right direction in your own community, in whatever community you're in that you're watching this from. So thank you so much, Edie. Thank you to all of our guests today. And that's it for this episode of the Unignorable podcast. I'm Christine Curtis, and we'll see you soon.